May the peace and the blessings be upon each and every member of our listening audience. Welcome once again on this lovely Tuesday evening to Balance Matters. I open up by saying that I come from a people that follows along the natural line of human behavior. I say that because I would like for us to reflect tonight on the importance of seeing that whatever change, whatever solutions, whatever answers we're looking for, because of the challenges and the problems and the hardships that we might be experiencing as a society, each and every ethnic group, ethnicity, with a racial responsibility to their ethnicity. Each individual has a racial responsibility to their ethnic group. And each ethnic group has the potential to achieve what they need to achieve for best results in their lives. We are capable, each and every one of us are capable of achieving those things that we need in our life. Now, because of my community, my people who have a unique history, unmatched by any, not that I'm boasting, but it's a fact. We have a unique history that says we were enslaved. The people that made it through the diaspora, they were robbed of their culture, their religion, re-educated, prevented from practicing their traditions and cultural values, to be enslaved by slave masters with brutal treatment to any who resisted their directives. They brutalized the enslaved, prevented them from being properly educated. And after 200 plus years, many couldn't identify their own original heritage, and their roots were ripped up. They had no roots to stand on. So keeping that in mind, that unique set of circumstances, we have today social scientists openly expressing the need for us to recognize that we are a people described as a work in progress, constantly looking to heal the scars that came along with enslavement. And because of that, we have identified some meaningful attempts to have us to see and appreciate our own value. And because of that value, I believe that we cannot ignore next steps, best practices, as we are making progress to claiming the best identity that suits a people who were robbed and had no friends, no one to empathize and sympathize for them and look out for them. Our people were left defenseless with the protection of God and God alone for our survival and protection. And thank God we're still here with enthusiasm. And I come to this microphone tonight with a great enthusiasm to say something tonight to encourage the listening audience that we are on a good path in making necessary progress in aligning with an identity that will reflect the natural human essence that God intended for us to live out in our lives. Because of the problems that we have had, because of intergenerational problems, and I'm going to repeat, this is Miss Lynn Winfield saying in her letter to the editor, and I will say this as often as I could because of how relevant it's going to be in months to come. In Bermuda, we live with emotional, psychological, physiological, intergenerational trauma and economic inequities of 218 years of enslavement. I'm going to repeat that because of its value. In Bermuda, the Black community and Bermuda in general, we live with the emotional, psychological, physiological, intergenerational trauma, and economic inequities of 218 years of enslavement. It's not good enough just to know that's a fact. We need to understand how that has impacted on us, and we need to know how we should be moving along to improve upon and rid ourselves of the scars that came along with the traumatic treatment of enslavement. So tonight, I want to give an idea to you, dear listening audience, of my representation, my perspective, and some concepts that's all a part of improving upon our intergenerational development. Intergenerational development. Parents must invest in our children for the family. That investment must be made. For a good neighborhood, we have to invest in our children. If we want good neighborhoods, we're going to have children that's very sound in their understanding. For a good community life, for a good collective community, we have to have great numbers of well-balanced children. For the broader society to flourish, we must invest in our children. I've been made to understand that the children's first teacher is the mother. Because mother plays an important role or setting up the foundation for other institutions to teach their children and for them to build upon the foundation that mother and the family life establishes as the first educational process. Now, you notice I said mother. The first teacher of the child is mother. And that's not to devalue the father at all. When I say that father's there with that child at birth. But when you look at the child's needs in the initial stages of that child, from baby coming out of the womb of the mother, mother's required, not daddy. The child can do without daddy for a while before getting to know daddy. But he can't do without mother for a while in order to live. He needs mother immediately after coming out of the womb. Every child, male and female, is started off in life by mother. Mother plays a very significant and important role in setting the foundation for the child to start learning. Now, if the mother is not equipped to fulfill our greatest responsibility, and yes, I did say her greatest responsibility, I declare that motherhood is a woman's greatest responsibility. If she is not well equipped to fulfill her role as mother in the family, the whole family suffers. And if a child is born out of wedlock through a girlfriend, wife, partner, mother is much more than just a physical asset. It's just a girlfriend that's had your child or had the child. That girlfriend is not just a physical asset. If it's wife that's had the child, she's not just a physical asset. You call her your partner if you haven't married her. She's not just a physical asset. I say that to my men friends out there in radio land. Our responsibility to support the family as men, to make sure that food, clothing, and shelter is made available to the family. Man's role, along with securing and being there for any need that the family may have financially and from a protection point of view from any outside sources. The security, the man goes out, gets what the family needs for food, clothing, and shelter, and brings it in for the family. Mother makes sure that the household is well suited to care for the entire family. And she's a good partner, along with the male who happens to be father of the child. I say that to say there are roles to be played, and any one of those roles in the family that's aborted, if we choose not to be accountable and responsible in our roles in the family, the family suffers. So I put emphasis on the fact that that mother, that woman, she's not just a physical asset. Mother is much more than a physical asset. Now, I'm going to be a little bit personal here tonight on this subject. I have to be. Why? Because I'm going to put myself on the line first to be accountable before I look at you and talk to you, dear listening audience. If I'm not willing to step up to the plate myself, I shouldn't be talking to you in the way that I find myself doing. My first investment in my family, my first investment in my children was choosing and working with and supporting my good partner. Yes, my wife. That was my first investment in my family. Now, I have to admit, Cromwell's not no angel, I have to admit that my first attention to my wife was that she was a bit of eye candy. Yeah. She was pleasant to the eye. When I first saw her, I couldn't help but want to look a little harder than usual at the female when I saw my wife. She was a physical attraction. I'm not lying. It was hard to pass by her without sneaking a peek. But when getting to know her and knowing what type of partner I wanted if I was ever to settle down. And when I first met my wife, I wasn't one of those guys that was ready to settle down right away. I'll be lying if I told you that. But after getting to know her very quickly, I knew right away that she was someone, if taken seriously, if I took the relationship seriously, I would want her to be considered as a wife. I didn't come out and say that too quickly, but I was thinking it. My wife's greatest asset still today is her intelligence. In getting to know her, I was blown away with her representation of information, her broadness of understanding when she was able to articulate, and she was very astute. She was well read, and she embarrassed me to the point she didn't think so, but I felt embarrassed to know that I couldn't compete with her when it came around to being well read. I didn't read too much in my early days as a young guy. I just done enough to get by. I wasn't a lover of reading, nor was I prompted to do a lot of reading. I have to be honest about that. And when I met my partner, my wonderful wife, I saw how much I was losing out because I wasn't up to scratch in articulation because of my limited awareness of representation of words. So I've gained so much from taking good advice from my intelligent wife. My wife's natural and most valuable quality is her motherly management. I didn't need to give her that title. I didn't need to describe that. It oozes out because she's always accepted to be accountable and responsible when it came around to motherhood. And when I look at the results of her contribution to motherhood, I can't argue that. Can't argue it at all. So I've been blessed to have a partner that's very balanced. And I've been the beneficiary of someone who has the ability to make good sense of information processing. So yes, without a doubt, my best investment to my family and the first investment to my family was choosing a very good woman who had the motherly character and carried out our instinctiveness of motherhood in a way that my family today has truly been blessed to have had the responsibility of a mother in the house, a wonderful wife, a good partner, as a peer, parents. So yes, my first investment to my family was choosing a very capable partner as being my wife. Now change, and I'm speaking constantly about improvement in the life of my people, improvement in the life of the broader community in Bermuda, because Bermuda has been two-faced for a long time. And we can't ignore that. That's part of the history of Bermuda. Two Bermudas. And we only talk about them when we cannot ignore when we see the two Bermudas. And we're far away from being one Bermuda because of the imbalances that still exist today. Change is a process, not an event. Change is a process, not an event. Unfair circumstances has produced bad feelings. Unfair circumstances has produced opinions and behaviors that have been described as unacceptable. Some of the images that we see being displayed by some of our people we know, not just outsiders. Sometimes these people are right within our family, right sharing the same household. I'm not willing to go outside of that so quickly, because us ignoring our responsibility, starting from the origin of responsibility, is to family first. That's our obligation. Charity starts at home and then spreads abroad. Unfair circumstances has produced bad feelings. Didn't I just read from Ms. Vinfield about exactly how we've been bothered by 218 years of enslavement? We can't act as though that's not true. It is true. We can't run away from that. And many of us are part to blame of why we're moving so slowly and having our children to accept the true value, to get them to be identified by the true value, is because we are ignoring speaking some truths. In Bermuda, we live with the emotional, psychological, physiological, intergenerational trauma and economic inequities of 218 years of enslavement. And it has left scars on us. And we need to remove these scars one by one. And that's what a program like tonight is designed to do. We are wondering how come we have our young men, in particular, killing one another. Because violence comes when minds are empty and souls are neglected. Too often, we let the streets raise our children instead of giving them guidance, giving our children care and purpose. Violence is not natural. Violence is what grows when we fail to feed the human spirit. The answer is not more anger, but more growth. We are never too old to learn. Feed the mind, nurture the heart, and respect life. Life of the human being. That is how we're going to stop the violence and start a better future. I won't give up the opportunity to say those few words whenever I get the chance. Powerful words. Change is not a process. Change is a process and not an event. Unfair circumstances has produced bad feelings, opinions, and behaviors that we carry with us that are unacceptable. And if not corrected, serves to keep us down and bring us down. And unless we address these issues, we will never improve upon the condition that's holding us back from competing with others. The opportunity for life is to compete with the best practices. It's nothing wrong with a good competition, what they say, an honorable competition. One of the writings in our religion says that, you know, that we should look towards all that is good, forbid that which is evil. Look towards all that is good and forbid that which is evil. So we should be racing towards practicing good. And when we race towards practicing good, nobody loses the race. See, everybody comes out a winner when we stay on the course of practicing good and forbidding that which is unacceptable, evil, that we may attain a good place in life. We're not going to get to a good place in life not practicing the things that will cause us to achieve those successes, those victories that puts us in a good place in life. Intergenerational, personal, and positive development will guarantee, and I said that, intergenerational, personal, positive development will guarantee success and progress in our children's future. Beginning that journey with a good name to live up to, a meaningful name to aspire to, will be a good start. Now, I'm not just playing with a perspective here when I say that. I'm not trying to get you to hear something because I want you to take what I've got to offer. No. If given the time it deserves, when we think about starting off one's life, let's look at a good reason to want to hold on to the ambition. And I say ambition because that journey that life offers us is nothing but an ambition to achieve, to raise to the highest heights possible in whatever we set as goals and objectives. Now, intergenerational, personal, positive development will guarantee success and progress in our children's future. I believe that. Beginning that journey with a good name to live up to, a meaningful name to aspire to, it's a good start. Now, many of us over the past 60 years in Bermuda has witnessed that Muslims who have converted to Islam from another religion. I'm one of those people. There are many people in Bermuda that converted to Islam after being born in a different religion. This is not to criticize any one religion or another. People's right to choose should be respected. And no individual should be prevented from expressing their right to choose. Now, when I suggest to you that a good name is a good beginning, I want to start with you hearing what my name Shakir represents. The Islamic name Shakir means grateful or thankful. In the Arabic language, that's what it means. It is derived from the word shukr, which means gratitude, and is a masculine name that carries a positive connotation of appreciation and humility. The name Shakir reflects the Islamic value of being thankful to God and is also one of the attributes of God himself, the Creator himself, Allah, as we in Al-Islam describe God as Allah, known as Al-Shakir, the all thankful. That's what my name Shakir means. To look at one of my son's name, This is just to bring a little bit of clarity. This is not boasting. This is not putting myself front and center. I'm saying I'm putting myself front and center to have you to see that I am willing to put on the line what I'm doing, and for us to discuss what you may be doing, moving towards the same goals and objectives. The name Omar. The Islamic name Omar means flourishing, populous, or long-lived, deriving from the Arabic root Umr, for life. It is a popular name with deep Islamic roots, most famously associated with Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second rightly guided caliph who ruled from 1634 to 1644, and is seen as a driving force behind the early Muslim conquest. So, without a doubt, we could have the reflections on the meaning of these words, these meanings of these names, and know for a surety that when we think about the value of these meanings, I don't think there's too many right-minded people out there that would not see honor in these names and a worthwhile start in encouraging the individual to live up to their name. That's what names are intended for, the individual to live up to their name. So names should be of great value. It's the beginning of an objective and what they say, the obligation to stand by the value of that name, to represent it in the best way possible if the individual wants to be accountable and responsible to their name. Investing in education, proper and balanced education of our children. Yes, I'm going a little bit longer tonight on my monologue because I am taking this subject very seriously, because we need to consider how important it is for us to be consistent in wanting to move and address the issues that's preventing us from making meaningful steps towards having our children to take on responsibility and live out what's expected of them, for them to continue to make progress out of a condition that is very unique. Investing in our education, investing in not just education, but proper and balanced education. Balanced education of our children, being very involved with their school and in their school dealings, standing for them when needed at the school, is very much important. Very important. Investing in education, proper and balanced education of our children, being very involved in and with their schools and standing up for them whilst at the school. It's important for our children to have and see us reinforcing what's required for them to have a proper development. Now I'm gonna say I'm gonna give a story, and it's for various reasons why I would like to say this, because of what I know if and when we put it in its rightful place, what it can say to your mind and what it done for me as a parent and what it done for my child in having him to go through this experience that I'm about to tell you. I'm going to share something personal with you, dear listening audience. One of my children, being in a private school, had a situation where he was leaving school. His school was out. He was with his friends, going the natural path that he would normally travel, and wanted to go catch the bus to get home. He was overheard repeating his feelings about a story being told of a white girl who he went to school with, who unfortunately had gotten a reputation for loosely carrying herself. That's what I'll say, loosely carrying herself. And this is without no disrespect. It's a fact. I'm just not bringing down this individual, but information and evidence supported that the young girl in her young life was making errors in her life, and she was loosely living, and she started getting a reputation at school. And my son was known to have made a comment about what he was told about those incidents involving the white girl. The vice principal apparently was told about what was said coming out of the mouth of my son about this white girl and her history. And he had reason to contact my son and say to him personally that he had heard what my son had said about the incident, the issues, and he threatened my son with these words. He said, if he ever hears my son saying anything like that again, I don't know if it was about the white girl or anybody else, he said, I'll get you out of this school quicker than your feet can hit the ground. He would expel him out of the school quicker than his feet can hit the ground. That's the words he used to my son. This was on a Friday. Now, my son came home to me and told me that story. I took a deep breath, and I painstakingly questioned my son to make sure that I was hearing consistency, if I understood correctly what he wanted me to understand about the entire story and all of what his involvement was. I wanted to be clear. And I did make it clear, question my son enough to know that I was satisfied to believe that the vice principal did not handle the issue well enough, let alone threaten my son like he did. Now, I decided that on the Monday, the next week, I was going to be at the doorstep of the school when the first line of people came to open up the doors for the school, because I wanted to be sitting to the door of the office to be the first person to talk to the principal, the vice principal, about the matter, because I didn't want my son to start any classes with the type of feelings that he displayed. I knew my son, and I knew what was going to be best in his interest. So I said, we're going to have to deal with this here first thing Monday morning. So I go to the office, speak to the secretary, and she goes to speak to the vice principal, knowing my interests, and she comes out and tells me that I wouldn't be able to speak to him because he's busy, and I'll have to arrange a different time to speak with him because of his issues were more important at the time. So I said to the secretary, I think you better go back in and tell your boss that I'm not moving, I'm not leaving, and he's not going to start today in this school until he speaks to me about the issue having to do with my son that he and my son had as discussions on the Friday prior. I said, go back in there and tell him that I'm not going nowhere. I'll be staying in this office until he comes out to see me. So he decided to see me immediately. So I say to him, in repeating all what I thought my son wanted me to understand about what went down. And he told me everything I said was correct. My son had given me proper information. I said, so you did say that you threatened my son to put him out of the school if he was found to be saying anything of similar nature in the future? He says, yes. I said to him, now I'm going to have you to understand what I'm not accepting about this issue. I said, you and I, as men, know that as young boys, we done a pack of stuff that needed to be corrected by adults when we were young. We didn't always get it right when we were young. Part and parcel of growing up is to correct our mistakes, be guided by people who cared for us and who wanted us to understand the differences and the distinction between unacceptable and acceptable behavior. I said, you know as well as I do that children are to be guided by adults. I said, this incident, without me saying if my son was right or wrong about what he said, I'll take into account that I said to my son that his feelings, he didn't need to express them like he did. I told my son on the Friday that he didn't have to express what he said, even though they were factual. I said, you could have gone without having to verbally have to say that for other ears to hear. You could have gone without doing that. But that's a mistake you've made, and I hope you've learned the lesson now that you've been reminded of all the alternatives. I said, the same way I gave guidance to my son, Mr. Principal, I hold you responsible for guiding my son while he's in this school. I didn't expect that you'd be threatening my son when he makes a mistake. You should be guiding my son when he makes a mistake. Now, you know as well as, I'm telling this vice principal, you know as well as I do that this young man, knowing his statistics when it comes around to his academic achievements, if my memory serves me well, he's still second in his class right now, right? He's rating second in the statistics in honors in his class. Am I correct? He says yes. I would like to believe that your school would want to save a student that has such value and such capabilities. Am I correct? He says yes. I said, well, why would you want to threaten my child rather than guide him? By the time I finished explaining more about the issue and why I saw it inappropriate of him threatening my child, he agreed that he could have done it a little different. I said, okay, now we're meeting the minds now. I'm going to suggest to you, sir, then that you not just tell me that you were incorrect in your response to such a unsavory subject as what we were talking about. I said, you don't owe me an apology. You owe my son an apology. So I'm asking you, I'm not asking, I'm telling you that before my son starts his day in school, I would like for you to call him in your office and give him what you gave to me as a necessary correction to the behavior that you seem to have displayed as a vice principal to a child who needed to be guided rather than threatened. Because I'm not accepting no vice principal or principal to be threatening my child, particularly when I'm paying for him to be educated. Well, by the time my child came home, and I told the vice principal, I'm not going to be in the office when you do it. I'm going to leave you and him to work this out and have him to understand how you're going to honor him and respect him all by himself. And I'm hoping that when he comes home, he'll give me a response that I'll be satisfied with. That's what I told him. Well, my son came home and he gave me a very appropriate response to how that meeting of the mind went with him and the vice principal, my son and the vice principal. So I say that to say what? I understood exactly what the environment was that caused that vice principal to think he could talk to my son like that, but he picked the wrong family. He picked the wrong guy to mess with. His name is Cromwell Shakir. That vice principal picked the wrong parent to test his power out on. I know that experience reinforced in my son how far we were prepared to go to make sure he gets what he deserves, even when he's making mistakes in life. We as parents, we as guardians, we as those that know better should be guiding our children, not threatening them and hurting their feelings when they make sincere, honest mistakes as they're growing. So investing in education, proper and balanced education of our children, being very involved in and with their schools, and standing up for our children when needed is a requirement that we cannot ignore. So, dear listening audience, I'm saying that to say, if we want to change the attitude, I heard Mr. Pastor Bean, who represents the I don't even know how to describe it, his post as in government working with the children who are in gangs, and he was being interviewed by Mr. Skelton on another station. He was seen to be saying that he never expected for too much change to take place with the gang circumstances or situation, because the gang violence requires a change of attitude in order to make meaningful progress in preventing gangs from being so disruptive as they have been over the years. He wasn't expecting major change without having attitudinal change in the people who are involved in gangs. Now, I agree 1,000% with that. How we're going to change attitudes is not going to be happening overnight. How we're going to change the mindset and give our children purpose? How are we going to give them information? Why is this important? Violence comes when minds are left empty and souls are neglected. And we often leave the raising of our children to the people in the streets instead of giving these children guidance, care, and purpose. That's what's driving Cromwell Shakir tonight. I'm pretty certain that some of you out in Radio Land are far more capable of contributing to this discussion, knowing what your desires are, knowing what your experience has been with your personal life and your family life, your children's lives, your neighborhood's lives, your community's lives. I ask for you, dear listening audience, to pick up the phone and participate and develop this conversation on Balance Matters as it relates to investing in our children and causing them to have a strong foundation that will house the proper and correct attitude towards growing and accepting to be accountable and responsible in society. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. I would love to hear your feelings tonight, dear listening audience. I couldn't do any better at this point in time on these matters. I hope I didn't harangue you. I hope I was able to Yes, balance. You're on Balance Matters.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
I just had a similar experience when I was earlier, when I was 10.
Yes.
And it was serious. It was similar to your experience.
Yes.
My teacher said something to me that I didn't like. It was about my family.
Yes.
I didn't appreciate it.
Yes.
And I didn't say anything to her, but I got in trouble at the school because of that.
Yes.
And but guess what? The principal that was involved, that was involved because this was a teacher. He asked me what I did, and when I explained it to him, he said, "Okay, that's all right." And I understood that he understood where I was, and what the teacher said to me was not right. So I don't know if he had anything anything to do with her, but it was very interesting that he looked at it and decided that I was not wrong in my reaction, even though I did do something unacceptable.
Yes.
But I heard that I took it from him that I was right in my decision.
Yes.
And guess what? He sent me to a class next door for 2 weeks. He didn't take it out on me or nothing like that. He just said, go to the class next door. It was Mrs. Lesper's class.
Yes.
And I stood there for 2 weeks and enjoyed myself. And I didn't want to go back to the other teacher, but she was the top student. Top teacher. She taught the highest class.
Yes.
And I didn't know that I was capable of doing anything.
Okay.
But so I just want to tell you that I had an experience like that, but the principal listened to me and was on my side.
Oh, very good. I'm so glad that you picked up the phone and shared with the audience that experience. I'm glad. I'm very thankful.
And that was right when I was 10, 20, and I'm 70-something now.
You're 70-something now?
I'm 70-something now.
Ain't that something? Wow.
So the principal was, he was understandable.
Yes.
Not like the principal that you talked about.
Yeah.
And I was so excited that I didn't get expelled or anything like that, because the principal was reasonable, and that's how I did it.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. You have the rest of a great evening. See?
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Caller, you on Balance Matters?
Yes, good evening. I want to share an experience I had as a mom. My daughter was in high school.
Yes.
And she got in trouble shoving a young lady, and they wanted to send her home because she was sticking up for her friend, who was a little one. She was really tall. And when the big girl shoved the little one, she decided to shove somebody aside. So she willingly participated, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In an action that I thought she could have handled differently because of how I taught her. So she said, well, I was just sticking up for her. So the teacher called me at work, and I went down school. And I told the teacher, yes, she's a very smart girl. And you're not sending her home while I am working because it's like a party for 3 days.
Yes.
I said her best punishment will be to stay in school. I said, oh, can you imagine sending her home and for 3 days she's going to be laying up there watching TV and goodness knows what else?
Yes.
While I'm working and turning the TV off just in time for it to cool down and put it back to the station where I left it to fool me. So we talked about it, and I scolded my daughter, not demeaningly, with the teacher, and I told her I did not send you to school to be corrected by any teacher, because my mom always told us if you can't go any higher, then go any lower. The teacher, she was the deputy as well, deputy principal, female.
Yes.
And she thought about it, and she said, yes, this child is very smart. And she would just love it, and she saw the smile on her face when she said she was going to send her, expel or send her in, whatever, what they call it, expel.
Yes.
What's the other word they use? Suspend her for 3 days.
Suspended, yes.
And she was so happy, and the teacher saw that on her face, and she really quickly decided, okay, she's coming to school. So I thought that with me talking to her reasonable tone and looking at the situation, because I know my child.
Yes.
And she learned from that experience, but she felt like she was right because a bigger person was bullying a little person.
Yes.
I said, I understand all of that, but you could have handled it different. You could have gone and called a teacher. You know?
Yes.
So the situation worked out well where she did not get suspended for 3 days. Excuse me. And she was able to stay in school. Well, she progressed, went on to get her PhD and all the rest of it.
Yes.
But that one incident could have very well have gotten out of hand. You know? I'm so glad I was able to speak with the teacher.
Yes.
And the teacher actually reasoned.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty good.
Yes. You know, with you saying those last few words, wrapping up how this thing ended up, see, the reason why I chose, because I don't tell that story too often publicly. I don't. I chose to tell that story about my son because at the stage my son is at now, and he's not the only child that I'm so proud of. My family, I'm very happy to know how my family has ended up. This young man, when it came around to the outcome of his life, it's been a compilation of different experiences that's confirmed to him what the role of parents are. And then he can relate these things, the different little things. Like he's told me, he's been in the corporate world as a person who he finished school very well in university, and his professional discipline has treated him very well. He ended up very good in the business arena, but he's been treated very unkindly in the business arena. As successful as he is, he's a very successful person in his career, but he's been treated very unfairly. So when I think about how he's managed his life, knowing the different things that he's been confronted with, and the response, we often raise our children saying, it's not the problem that you're in that's the more important thing. It's response to the problem that's where the lesson and the better outcome comes from. It's how you respond. Because we will always endure problems as long as we're living. but we have to learn how to respond wisely in order for us not to be brought down by these things. So when I think about the different collections of experiences that my son is now sharing with us, he's a married man, got a few children, going on with his life, and quite the merry. When it comes around to him sharing these things, I can see what has been responsible for his success, the ups and downs as relates to management of the issues, not necessarily like that saying said that I just read just now. It don't make sense getting angry at the things that causes our children to be annoyed, but got to give them more information to learn how to deal with those things.
You said it correctly.
So this is why we need to talk about these things, because it's okay that we have these opinions and these feelings, and in some cases, our children end up getting locked up because they don't know how to manage their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to question how much of our children's development led to them being ill-equipped to manage themselves whenever they have emotions that gets them out of control.
Yeah.
And these are the types of conversations we have to have in order for us to see the choices, and in some cases, today more than ever before, to have these young people to see that the attitude that's got them killing each other needs to be corrected. And us as parents, some of those children who are doing this stuff, they have parents. They're not just out there, they have parents. So
well, the parents have got a different thought now. They believe in violence and you know, the teacher did ABC, I'm going to beat up the teachers, and that's where the children feel that they have a right to do what's wrong.
Yes, and too often we're not stepping up and saying to each other what alternatives that we have, even when our child is being misrepresented. I didn't go up to the school and rave and rant with that guy. I went up there and first of all, I made sure my son told me what I needed to hear first. I didn't want him to give me no 649. I drilled him. And when I got to feel as though I'm confident in what he's telling me, when I went to the vice principal, he said, yes, all what your son said is correct. I said, no, I'm going to deal with you now. Yeah. Because
and you were right, man to man.
Yeah, man. And how dare you?
In this case, it was female to female.
Yeah.
And I sent my children to school to get an education, not to be corrected at my mom. Teachers, they're to teach, not to correct my children's wrong.
Yeah, man.
I mean, correct them to a degree, but not discipline them. That can't, man.
Yeah, man.
I didn't send you here for this reason.
Oh, yeah, man.
The teacher has other students to teach.
Yeah.
No. So that was the only incident. She was like maybe 15, I guess. 14, 15.
Yes. And what I thought was outstanding about my situation was that this boy's record at school was impeccable. Wow. So I said to the guy, wouldn't you want to hold a child like this at your school rather than threaten to get rid of him? I said, why did you decide to want to threaten my son rather than protect him with the record that he has? I looked him right in the face. I said, how did you end up making that decision first, Mike? I said, would you have wanted that for your child? I said, would you have wanted that for your child? You would want an adult to correct your child, not push him down the road further.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, no, we're not going to have none of that, mate. And unless you retract what you've done, you're going to have to deal with me, boy. Yeah.
Oh, then I understand.
Oh, yeah.
I understand thoroughly.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that to say, oh, I ran up against that white guy. No, I'm saying to him, hey, this little black boy, he has a very responsible parent at home. I don't know what feelings you got about where he comes from, but I'm letting you know what type of parent this boy has at home.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. You picked the wrong guy.
Now, thank you for sharing that story, because it's too many things that happen in school and the decisions that have been made are very much incorrect.
Yes.
And they stay that way. Sometimes the children, they grow up with it, and they mishandle their own children's situation because they just carry it too long.
Yes. And we need to not underestimate or devalue our options to talk about these things, because it means a lot for our children, for them to understand how far we're prepared to go to make sure that they get the best opportunities available to them.
Mm-hmm.
And any parent that's having doubt about that, our stories may help them make decisions that they may be confronted with. Thank you very much.
Not easy.
You know it's not easy, but we're going to take on the challenge, though.
Oh, take it on, take it on, take it on.
We're going to take it on,
and it doesn't mean it got to be loud and screaming and shouting the fish road, any of that stuff.
It wasn't none of that.
It has to be dealt with respectfully. Respect must come from both parties.
You hear what I'm saying? And God knows he couldn't say by the time I finished talking to him that I was threatening him. He knows I didn't have no need to threaten him. I put my stuff in proper order and got him to see his responsibility. And failure
he probably felt threatened the minute he knew you were there.
But anyhow, but I'm gonna say this before we go. I had to decide what I wanted my child to leave with when he questioned how I responded to his need. He needed to understand how I, as a parent, as his parents at home, mother and father, was going to stand on behalf of him. He needed to understand that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure at the end of the day, he understood it fully.
Yes, and he did. And that's why I chose to talk about it tonight. Because I know for a fact that at the end of the day, this whole thing is far bigger than me and my child, man. Because you and I are no different. All of our children, all of us as families, we're going through the same stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
But just
and the sad part about it is,
yes,
even the amount of young black men who have reached corporate level, they still get treated unfairly.
Girl, I've got stories to tell, boy.
I
have got stories to tell, boy.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of when John Swan said, I never got invited to the tea party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah. Well, I thank you very much for your contribution tonight.
You have a blessed night.
You do likewise, my dear.
Love your family always.
Love you too. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
The number is 297-1027 for Talking Balance Matters. Maybe, okay. Caller, you on Balance Matters.
How you doing, Cromwell?
Hey, I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful, bro.
Good. I'm the guy that calls and irritates everybody with the trades and stuff, right?
Yes.
People don't enjoy that I actually speak up. And it's probably, like I tell you, I care about the fatherless children.
Yes.
Because I was one.
Okay.
So at 14 years old, a guy came in from New York to my school, and he taught everybody how to steal. And they were stealing around a store that my father's twin sister's husband was manager, so I couldn't steal. Okay. They got about $2,000 worth of stuff, solar-powered calculators, solar-powered cassette players. So I went on my own and went to another store and stole 2 disposable air horns, a value of $30. I gave it to the ringleader. He went to school, went in the courtyard and blew it off. The principal saw him. He got in trouble. No blowing air horns. That was that. They then went to town 2 weeks later and slashed tires at a car, at a vehicle, and got caught. 5 of them. When they got caught, they then rattled on each other, and the police got the $2,000 worth of equipment.
Yes.
Now the school wanted to handle this, and it was in 1981, so they knew about kids stealing, so someone had to take the rap.
Yes.
So I'm sitting in class. School had police officer children, and the police officers were at the school because the police officers had children at the school.
Okay.
One police officer came into the school and got me at 14, marched me up to the police station, put me in the cell, told me that the other kids had pricked on me, talked about my father. Oh, if you let down, your father wouldn't be proud of you. Oh, your grandfather, these guys were both dead. Your grandfather wouldn't be proud of you. Go home and tell your mama you've been caught for stealing. Well, I love my mama to bits, and she made no mistake. She left it up to the Bermuda authorities, whether it was the police or the school board, to do the right thing. So I'm now eating leftovers when I get home because mama's not saying nothing. Well, I was crying in the police station, 14, told me how my dad would think of me, how my grandfather would think of me. I went home eating leftovers for a month, knowing she knew, but she wouldn't say nothing. Sitting in class, the intercom, come to the office. I go to the office, my mom's on the phone crying. You didn't tell me you got caught for stealing? I'll meet you up the police station now. Start walking up at 14 by myself, walking up towards the police station. Another police officer that has children at the school. I guess the board must have, kept it in-house. We're going to solve this here. We're going to get the fall guy to take the rap, the fatherless child. All other 5 children had parents, my mother and father. My mother's Canadian, didn't know nobody, doesn't have no connections. Even though my father went to the same school and his family members went to this school, the New York boy got off, the 5 children got off. So now I'm walking up towards the police station. I didn't know this at the time. I'm walking up towards the police station. I get out in front of the courthouse. Another cop walks across the street, walks me into the courthouse. I got 2 years probation officer. I could name you the probation officer coming up my neighborhood in the police car for the same $30. After I walked out of court at 14 years old, I caught the bus home. Tears. I get home. Now Mama and I's arguing. I guess they didn't mind father, mother, and son going to war at 14. It was just another chapter in the book.
Yes.
And then now Mama, because I don't got a little Johnny Mama, and I love her for that, because I'm the idiot that calls the talk show today caring about the fatherless children. And then Mama's, you're going to the store to apologize. And now she didn't know that the other 5 children got off the day they got caught. She didn't know the school board decided that the fatherless child that didn't get caught was going to be the one taking the rap. The school just thought they weren't going to see my father at the club or my grandfather at any club or at restaurant or at work.
Yes.
So this was the easy scapegoat to fix the problem. So then, like I said, 2 weeks after warning the house of eating more leftovers for the same $30, I said, well, I'm gonna, because my mama is equal to 5 fathers in my view.
Yes.
I ain't got no regular mama. I ain't got no little Johnny mama. So now, 2 weeks later, warned the house. I then walked to the store by myself, walk up the steps, and apologize to the owner for stealing 2 air horns.
Yes.
And that's why you hear this guy call the radio and talk about the trades, and how if I've talked about the trades and my career was the trades,
yes,
the people have decided to come after me for talking about the trades and the trade school and the career that I once had. You understand?
Yes.
And this is where it all stems from, for why this guy, crazy white guy, calls the radio in defense of children and the trades and opportunity and idle boys and how they get in trouble. I have an understanding of how fatherless children are also the scapegoats in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great day, Cromwell.
Hey, thank you for your contribution, man.
Okay, mate.
Yeah. You know, Caller, you on Balance Matters?
I just want to share this with you. My grandmother always told us that when you go to court, you go in free. There's no charge to go to court. You pay on your way out the door. Necessarily a fine, but a reputation.
Ain't that something?
You that.
Boy, that is priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go in court free, but you pay going out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Always let us know your reputation at stake.
Yes, your reputation.
Okay, bye.
Thank you very much, my dear. Well, we're going to take a little musical interlude right now. The lines are not flashing. I want to give acknowledgement to the mothers, whoever you are as a mother, one who has accepted to be accountable and responsible, the one who's a partner that wants to be a good family person, the one who's thinking about taking their place as the role of a mother, who happens to be sharing partnerships. I would like to dedicate this here to you. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters here tonight. We have a day to reflect on the opportunities that's available to us, that is there for us to address one step, one day at a time, one issue at a time, to apply our responsibilities in the categories of personal responsibility first, then family accountability. Remember, expected to fulfill our duties in whatever place we have in family, because regardless of who you are, if you're in the family, you have a responsibility and a duty to carry out. You're accountable for things that fits in the category of your position, your role. When we accept our roles, when our roles are made clear to us, what is expected of us, then the journey in life is to now to attempt to carry that role out. And along the way, what they say, life is full of ups and downs. And we will have those ups and downs as long as we're living. And our children need to understand that particularly the black community, the unique set of circumstances that comes with our history. We do not want to ignore what challenges that the black community has, the black young man, the black young woman, those who have little or no network of people to draw from because of our community situation. Our young men and women in the black community, when they are expected to compete, they are up against a major system that is not intended to look out for them. I'm not saying that the system has to give our children anything. When our children compete and compete fairly, our children should get what they deserve, a fair opportunity. When we have people with authority, with power, decision makers within the business arena, and we do have a history of the oligarchical system where the average citizen within the black community was made to feel as though that they needed to fight harder than anybody else if they want to achieve something from the business world in the oligarchical system. The oligarchical system made the average black citizen feel if they wanted to make progress, they had to align themselves with the established system. I did say that, and it's true. The privileged group of people that was running the country. And still today, we have what they call a residual effect of people that made it difficult for black people to get what they deserve. Most black people gave in rather than find a niche that allowed them to be their independent person. They ended up having to give in and align themselves with the powers that be and make the powers that be happy before they made their own community happy. They had to make the oligarch satisfied before he worked and done something to make his own people satisfied. The blacks were put in positions like that. Some of the stories, like I remember, and those of you in radio land, if you want to be honest, if you do remember, it was a statement made by a very well-known accountant in making a statement in reply to some particular subject that he was dealing with. He was saying to his colleagues that they should not be looking for handouts when it comes around to being given what they thought they deserved. He said, if you work hard, you'll get what you deserve. Something of that nature. I'm not going to call their names. I got the name of the person on the tip of my tongue. That I don't need to call their name. But I was able to talk to a few young men who around the same age group as this very astute accountant who's well known in the corporate world, told the black young men and women, if you're looking for achievement and progress, work hard and you'll get it. That's what's required. And when I heard that, I shivered. I said, man, who raised that young man? What world he been living in? What Bermuda has he been living in? So when my son came and he was in front of me for a while, you know, he left his house and came to me, and he asked me, did I hear that foolish statement that one of my, I wouldn't say colleague, but one of the people that's in the corporate world has said about if we work hard, we get what we deserve. He said, what world is this guy living in? What system is he working with? How true is that? So when we're not willing to be honest and open about the facts of the matter of how the systems, unless we have someone looking out in our interests, you don't get the opportunity that you deserve, even when you are accomplished, successful, and meeting requirements. They even hold back stuff from you and don't even let you know that it's available to you because of the success that our young men and women are having, I'm sorry. I know enough stories to know that some of our children, man, we need to give them credit for not blowing their cap and going out and doing something silly because of the mistreatment that they get. in the corporate world because of the color of the skin, man. Now, am I quibbing and crying and complaining? No, I'm not. I'm being real. And unless we tell our children these things, and whilst we're telling our children these realities, I also say to these young men and women, knowing that they are being so successful these days in their disciplines, coming back home very well qualified, certified, and all those things that academics have to afford them when they are successful. Now they need to have people that can invest in them so they could build from what they have control of. Whatever expertise they have, we, the ancestors, the forerunners of our children, knowing that we are watching daily an improved set of circumstances where our children are equipping themselves very well to be able to not just do the work, but actually own and operate and produce better than what their bosses are doing. Why? Because our children have proven to be that bright. That's just not my feeling. That's a fact. I'm not saying they're brighter than somebody else's child. Our children have proven to be very bright. Now they need a network that will take them in and see them as worthy of being invested in. So when we have our children proving that they're very capable of not just doing the work, but starting from scratch and building business and managing business and achieving what they are achieving for their bosses. Our children now need us to invest in them. So how do you think that's going to happen? We can't be people who are poor and think we're going to invest in our children being poor. If we don't have no money, who do you think's going to invest in our children? How do you think we're going to start in the industrial arena, in the business arena, if we don't see the possibilities of saving some money? And those of us who are thinking on a similar plane, who would like to see us put our children in a better position where they don't have to beg and borrow in order for them to get forward, to move forward, to make progress. We could call our children together and tell them we're willing to invest in them and create a network for them. I didn't say loan them. I said invest in them. Because an investment is a risk. And if our children are worth the risk, we should get together and have our children to understand that we are very well capable and desirous of taking risks in investing in them. That's what our young black men and women who are coming back from school with being high achievers, that's what they need now. That's the next step towards moving towards having better control of our destiny. That's the change of attitude we're talking about. When our children start hearing what we are so very desirous of and what we know that they are capable of. Why? Because they are, their potential has proven that they can achieve if we only but gave them an opportunity to elevate themselves on another level of business, which is what? Ownership and decision-making controls so they wouldn't have to be disappointed by the mindset that wants to hold our children in a place where they could always be manipulated and managed to be kept down on a level so they won't be able to compete in the business arena like it's intended to. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. Dear listening audience, I'm hoping that the essence of tonight's discussion as it relates to a next stage of how we should look at how we're going to change the attitude of those young men who find themselves having to be in gangs in order to satisfy themselves. These very bright young men, if they were kept in a tight environment where we could share and get them to see their own value, if they got to hear the information that will allow them to see them more valuable than they see themselves. Calling you on Balance Matters.
Hey, Shakira, what's up, boy?
I'm thankful, mate. I'm thankful, Brian.
Very interesting topic. Very interesting conversation with the caller.
Yes.
I immediately started to think about the importance of fathers keeping their sons busy.
Yes.
And leading them in a positive direction. Or at least being heavily involved in the direction they choose to take their life in. Or certainly in terms of guiding them in a better path. I find it interesting that parents don't know who the children's friends are, or how they move throughout a small place like Bermuda. So I find it very difficult to believe that parents are to some degree condoning some of this behavior. So I don't think that's the be all end all. I also, as the gentleman implied, see another side to this story, particularly when it comes to what the powers that be can do to influence areas of employment.
Yes.
That don't necessarily mean higher learning, academic learning, that is.
Yes, yes.
The reality is, even in the trade, it is academic, but the beauty of it all is you mature with the job that you're doing, and your academics is achieved in a more practical sense than you having to be so academic up front. And I mean, we all know tradesmen around here that aren't academic, but they can outdo an academic when it comes to the maths on their job.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So we've lost some of that, man. And one of the things I find interesting when I talk with a lot of the young men, especially those I sense are kind of heading in a wrong direction.
Yes.
And although I can't control everything about them because they're not my children, And my son is in his 30s now, and that's my proudest accomplishment.
Yes.
Being able to see that he didn't, go wrong in his life, especially as regards to getting in trouble and being negative.
Yes.
In spite of the challenges that life had to offer us, especially as black people.
Yes.
Because I'm glad that you spoke on that and that you honed in your monologue with some talk about the realities of how we're suffered since the slave trade.
Yes, man.
And whether we want to admit it or not,
yeah,
a lot of our problems stem from not having not having the what's the right word, but not really being put ahead in the beginning, educationally, especially given the fact we live in a world that primarily has been devised by the same Europeans that enslaved us.
Yes.
So that having to adapt, we was behind the 8 ball from the get-go.
Yes.
And many of us did quite well, but many of us are still struggling, even when we appear to be doing well.
Yes.
And this reflects, right to the raising of the child sometimes. Because parents out there busy. But I think at some point in your life, when you commit to having a child, whether it's on purpose or by accident, mind you, I don't think no child's really by accident. I just think some of these parents that have kids before they want them just need to recognize that that's the one thing they need to commit to.
Yes.
Especially in terms of guiding them.
Yes.
So, it goes back to, if you know your child is not going to be a great academic, then you still need to devote time and energy to taking seriously what talent or what trade or what skill in terms of them eventually going into the world, the occupation world.
Yes, yes.
I don't care what they are. I don't care, they're behind a trash truck. Some of those guys are making better money than people that have more plush jobs.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And personally, I think it's an advantage when you work for government, period, because later on in life, you certainly retire better than most people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that to say this, that, being involved with your child, in spite of what he portrays in terms of intellect or his attitude, is important, man. And of course, trying to change that attitude if it's a bad one.
Yes.
Can only be done really by the influence, especially if it's a boy, by the father.
Yes. Yes.
I don't care what institutions around here, they're going to only help to a certain degree. But when it's your own and you can chase after them in your spare time, or making the time.
Yes.
It's an important. I don't play this divorce game because been there, done that, and we still pulled together and did what we had to do.
Yes.
To make it happen, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And sometimes spite, man, and resentment gets in the way.
Yes, man. Yes.
at the end of the day, who's really selfish? You need to look. You're blaming one side, but really whoever's caught in the middle.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, somebody's still being selfish.
Yeah. Yes, man.
You know what I mean? And because no matter what, you should be, fighting hard to make sure your boy, especially if you're a father, is going the right way, man.
Yes. Yes.
Intercepting.
Yes. You can't be so self-centered, man.
Oh, man. It's and then there's an element of cultural acceptance. Where people are desensitized.
Yes.
They're living in a certain way where they're desensitized from the nonsense that's happening around here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's when it's become cultural in terms of the way some like to live or prefer to live.
Yes.
But I'm more concerned about the boys, like I said, that I talk to and tell me that, they at least would like to be able to get a job fairly easy in the trade.
Yeah.
Which is, what prompted me when I was listening to the white gentleman they're called.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of merit in that because men like to do things with their hand, man, whether we like to admit it or not. And and that's not old, man. But I think, I find it hard to believe that a young man can't be groomed along to be a mason.
No. Let me say this here while you're talking about that, dear Mike. I had a teacher in high school that simply said to me, even when you're in a trade, you have to use your mind too,
That's right.
So because you're called a tradesman, don't mean that you're not academically skilled. It means that there's a mixture. It's a mixture of utilization of intelligence.
Yeah.
We got to be careful to paint a picture that if you're good with your hands, it's okay. You can't be good with your hands and be dumb in utilizing your intelligence and think that you're going to be successful. If you're not intelligent in using your skill, you're going to fail. I don't care how good you are with your hands. So the idea of us separating intelligence because we are good with our hands, we're making a mistake.
That's right. I grew up in a body work and spray painting environment.
Yes.
And my dad, God bless his heart, recruited all of the delinquent boys in St. George's.
Yes.
That worked with me and my brother.
I'm going to give you a minute, Mike.
Yeah, okay, let me go at the body shop. And what I'm trying to say is, who do you see that today? That some of these jobs that can't.
Yes.
Take on some of these boys and, hey, man, I remember guys that were masters at taping a car out, and that was considered to be the least you could do on the job, but they were good at it. And they were important. So my point here,
yes.
We need to do things like my dad done, man, at least.
Yes. Yes.
Get these boys off the street. Get them around an area, and stop looking at it like business only, man. And
yes.
Without
yes.
What's a day release?
Yes.
I call it. Where the kids can come and learn a trade without having to be in school for it.
Yes.
Or be in a formal environment.
Yeah, that's it.
Some of you guys that are able to,
yes,
take them on. I certainly take some of them at my stable, man, and try to show them things, and about horsemanship and none of that. They learn other things because over there's something to fix around the stable.
Yes, and I appreciate the advice that you're giving us on that, Mike. Thank you very much.
No problem, my brother.
And the rest of a great evening, man.
You as well.
Yes, the number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. Caller, you on Balance Matters?
Brother Crumble, how you doing this evening?
I'm thankful, sir.
Cool, man. I just want to say that, we are in, and we have been for some time, but in a very bad state when it comes to the tradesmen in Bermuda. I came up being trained at Robert Crawford doing electrical.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In Robert Crawford, remember we had day release.
Yes.
The company that you work for, you had a job during the summer holidays.
Yes.
Weekends.
Yes.
And I came up under, and thankful for him, Sam Newsom.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's who brought me through.
Yes.
We the people have been crying out for a trade school. We need to roll the clock back. Right?
Yes.
I've been crying out for a trade school. Government is not listening. We don't want no signature school because the signature school is not going to be like the trade school. I know this, right? We need a trade school. We got all these empty schools that's coming up. Why can't we take one down the east, one in town, one up Somerset, and turn them into trade schools? Roll the clock back. Look at see what we done at Robert Crawford and take it from there. Why can't we do that?
That's a good question.
I'm not understanding.
Well, I'm pretty sure somebody out there.
The tradesmen in Bermuda, all you see is foreigners. When they shut that school down, they open up the floodgates, and the floodgates have been open ever since. Not everybody's academically inclined.
Yes.
A lot of Bermudians are good with their hands.
Yes.
Like me, you give me a pair of wires.
Yes.
And I'm one.
Yes.
I'm not a bookworm.
Yes.
Never was. But I'm good with my hands.
Yes.
So I think government really needs to look at this and give us what we're asking for, please.
Yes.
And I know by doing this, Bermuda will be a better place.
I thank you for that. You're shutting down the show on the exact 9:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Have the rest of a great evening.
You too.
Listening audience, I close with this very important reminder. Violence comes when minds are left empty and souls are neglected. Too often we let the streets raise our children instead of giving them guidance, care, and purpose. Violence is not natural. Violence is what grows when we fail to feed human spirit. The answer is not more anger, but more growth. We are never too old to learn. Feed the mind, nurture the heart, and respect life. Where people are found not conscious of what it means to be human or have human life, life goes down and not up. That is how we are to stop the violence and start the future. Thank you very much for tuning in to Balance Matters. Tune in next week. Have the rest of a great evening.
The opinions expressed
Live on YouTube.